Hey, and welcome to season 2 of Mama Tales. I feel so good being back behind the mic. It's been, I think, a little bit over 9 months since I started this podcast, and I never thought I'd say this, but I'd missed these late night recordings with the house like super quiet, me sitting on the floor with some hot water here, just sipping and, having a great evening and chat on here. If this is your first time listening, welcome. There's a whole season waiting for you if you haven't listened to that already. And we're here to kick off the second season. It's been such an amazing journey. Like, season 1 was such a success, at least in my eyes. I was able to have very many meaningful conversations. I rekindled and developed new relationships and also built a supportive community around me, which honestly I never foresaw when I put this podcast up. So I think it only goes up from here, right? Well, so the break gave me some time to, just do life and think about, what's coming up in 2022. One thing is that now my daughter is like we're entering toddler. We were there, but now we're really, really there. So that's been interesting. And the other thing, in case you missed it, that I am pregnant, 20 weeks and counting. The first trimester was a lot, definitely hit me much harder than it did first time round. But I'm finally getting to that stage where pregnancy feels amazing. My body's feeling more powerful. I have more energy. With its limits here and there. But I'm really enjoying this phase I'm in right now as I wait for the new baby to come. So that's exciting. And if you don't want to miss any major news like that again, please listen up, because I'm going to do a bit of housekeeping for the podcast. So number 1 is you can follow me on Instagram at Sally Mugore. I do share a lot on there, especially just about my day-to-day life and many other tidbits that I collect here and there. And if you didn't know, this podcast also has its social handle on Instagram at Mama Tales Podcast. So yeah, follow both. I'll leave all those details in the show notes of this episode. The other thing that I started during this break, actually I released the first issue in January, and it's a newsletter currently called Behind the Mic. So it's a space where I share my opinions on many topics or areas that are relevant in this parenting phase or space. So be sure to subscribe to it. I'm still figuring out a schedule. At this point, it seems like monthly is more doable for me. So subscribe. You should be receiving the second issue of it sometime in February. And the topic of this one will be momfluencing. I'll dig deep. I've been reading and researching about mom influencers and how that world looks like. So yeah, subscribe. You can subscribe by going to my website. So that's mamatalespodcast.com. Scroll to the very bottom. There's a joining form there. All right, that's it, I think, on housekeeping. So we'll just jump right into what you're here for, the first episode of the season. So this story has been one that I'd wanted to do last season, but it's great as an opener to this one. So our storyteller this time is called Mary, and I've known her for quite some time and, got glimpses here and there about her story. So it was great to actually just sit down and chat with her and listen to the full story. And honestly, it was very eye-opening. I don't want to give too much away about her story, which you're going to just listen to right now because it's pretty long. But she faced situations we wouldn't want to be in at all. From having a baby young and juggling that with school, to being at the heart of a global pandemic.
So my name is Mary Gititu, and I'm a mom. I'm being 27 in a few days. I have one child. He's 7 years, so you can do the math. I got him at 20.
So yeah, you brought something up. You did give birth to him at 20, which does appear to be a young age. So maybe if you can just take us back to that moment where you found out that you're going to be a mom.
Yo, I think for me that was like one of the most scariest of things to experience. So I got pregnant at 19. I was in campus third year, and I was in what I thought was a stable relationship. Yeah, like by the time we were clocking an year, I was pregnant. And it's like we basically lived together because we'd not even get to a week without seeing each other. So he's either at my place or I'm at his place. So for me, what I felt was I was married. Guys, I was not entertaining anyone else but him. And the way that I'd now set up my life was school, home, school, home, school, home. Got to a point I didn't even think I had a social life. Like he was my social life, was everything to me because I knew this is it. This is where we're headed. This is the person that I'm settling down with. So when I got pregnant, I told him and I was like, are you sure? Okay, just another test in the morning, when you've not eaten anything, just to be sure. And don't buy one strip, buy like two. I told him, yeah, I'm actually pregnant. So for us, it caught us a bit off guard. And we were very confused because even for him, he wasn't stable financially. I'm in school. My mom is an ordained minister in church. So I'm just like, okay, bruh, what do we do? So it was very conflicting. And of course, the thought of let's just get rid of this pregnancy came. And yeah, it was really bad. Actually, the decision to keep the baby came when I was already at a doctor's place, you know, just having that consultation with the doctor and being like, yeah, I don't think I'm ready for this. Can we just, and it's in that office that the doctor noticed, oh, these two people have not really agreed. And, for me, I'd hidden from him, and we're just heading to one place. And then Nikaji feature and I went to a different place altogether. And then we figured out because we really had, a back and forth concerning keeping the baby. So he figured, oh, I think she's in this particular place now that we've been talking about it. So he got me there and then he's like, okay, sawa. So Daktari akasema, hey, I think you guys just need to sit here in my office and decide exactly what you want to do. And then when you're settled, I'll come back and you'll tell me what decision you'd have made. So it's in that office that we sat and we started talking about it. And it was like, no, I want you to keep the baby. I'm going to support you. I want us to do this. So let's just get on this journey. Let's see how this thing actually works out. So yeah, that's where the decision was made. And he was very supportive, very supportive, as much as he didn't have much to give. And I also didn't have anything to give because I'm depending on pocket money. I don't have anything. So but then for him, he had started working online. So he used to do online dating, and I don't know, I just those online things that men do. And he was getting a little something here and there. So the first months were okay. They were a bliss, in terms of relationship. But then the pregnancy itself was very difficult because I had morning sickness, and they lied when they said it's morning because I was all through the day. I had like a very tough time like keeping it together, especially mornings throughout the day. Any time I just smell any kind of food, I just used to get so much nausea. But then at some point, I think the second trimester, no, that was done with. But apart from that, sikuwa natema mate. But I bought stones, those nice. I ate those. Then I feel so guilty. I always used to ask myself, are you sure you want to fill up your appendix? Why are you eating that? Yeah, so that was how the whole pregnancy thing started on my end.
Take us back to like now when you were giving birth. How was your support system then?
So first 5 months, my baby daddy and I were doing great. But then now I'm the kind of person who does not do so well under pressure. And he knew that because he'd stayed with me for quite a long time. So he'd see how I used to behave when I had exams and all that. So my plan was to be in school all the way till the last month. But then it was like, I know how you usually get, especially when you have exams and pressure and all that. So I feel maybe you should just take the semester break and just be home and just relax and take care of yourself and the baby so that you don't pressure yourself and then end up maybe getting a miscarriage or something. So me being the submissive woman, I dropped my units. I'd already registered for the classes, so I just went to school, dropped all of them, and took the semester break. So I took 2 breaks. Of course, taking semester break means now going to stay with my mom, because why would you stay away from the family home when you're not going to school? So I think at that point, that's when now things started getting thicker for us, relationships, and we just started drifting because he'd hardly show up. Actually, I think just came home maybe twice after I went back. So I'm counting now, this is 5 months in, right? So for the rest of 4 months, he was, let's say, almost absent. And that is the point that I was going through so much heartbreak because I just couldn't understand how he'd leave me. I couldn't believe it. I went through a huge, just a very huge phase of denial because someone that I knew I'm going to do life with. So where are you? I thought we were doing this together. So that really broke me, and I felt like I was not worthy of carrying the baby. I sort of resented the whole thing. I was crying like literally almost every day. It was so difficult for me until about maybe 8 months, somewhere thereabout. That's when my sister came and she was like, if you don't want that baby, we want him. So yeah, just stay sane. At least give him to that baby. If you don't want him, we're gonna take care of him. But we need that baby alive. You're not gonna kill yourself just because you're going through something. You have to take care of yourself. You have to love yourself. So that's when somehow my healing journey started. I started now wanting the baby again and loving him and praying over him. I started now connecting with him. And my family was of great support. My mom and sister were just the best of helpers that I could have at that particular moment. So I feel like if it were not for that, I think I could have gone crazy. So great system from home that really helped me throughout that now phase of the heartbreak and all that. So the due date, okay, according to my EDD, I think I was supposed to deliver the baby on the 12th of December 2014. Baby didn't come. So I just kept living. Up until the 1st of January 2015. So you can count the time. I think I was like 2 weeks over the time that I was supposed to deliver. Yeah. That's the time that on the 1st, we had some kind of a party at home, and one of my aunts was like, "Ay, wewe hapana, you should have given birth already." So before this, I think on the Christmas day, I'd taken my sister-in-law to the hospital, for her first baby's clinic. And I asked her, like, check me. Then she's like, oh, Kombali, you don't even look like you near giving birth. And mind you, the belly thingy was already low. Like I looked like I was popping any minute. But then she's like, oh, nakaukombali, wewe bado. So okay, then maybe ni hivyo. I'm not a doctor, so let me just. So 1st January comes, and my auntie just points that out, and she's like, "Have you really been checking out for all the signs of birth? Like, are you sure you're really checking everything?" Then she's like, "There's this mucus pluggy thing that usually comes out. It's like a but then it's sort of pinkish. Gel. Go check that out. Maybe that would be one of the signs." So I actually do that. That very day, I went to the washroom, and I'm like, "Oh my god, it's here! Yeah, I'm supposed to be giving birth." So a while before this, I felt some sort of contractions in the night, and I my mom, because I was sleeping with my mom. I felt like her bed was more comfortable because yeah, vitanda zingine and the mattress is just sunk. So durable. Me, I don't know what happened, but thinking. So I used to sleep with my mom. And I remember this one night, I tell her, "Mom, hey, me the pains I'm feeling, they're just too much." And all the weird thing is that they were at my abdominal place, ukumbele. nikasema, okay, maybe it's not it. But the pain, I felt actually some pain. Like for some time, I don't think there's anything serious. So me nikalenge. But then now, so first comes and I see that, and I tell my auntie, she's like, okay, you just need to go to the hospital now. Try and book an appointment. Because again, I'm not getting contractions, my water is not breaking, so hapa lazima nijipeleke hospitali. So I talked to one of the doctors at the place that my sister-in-law went to deliver her baby from. And asked him, hey, so when will you be on duty? It's like, kesho usiku, now on the 2nd. Kesho usiku, nitakuwa. Ambia, okay, sawa, we'll come through. So all this while, my bag had stayed packed for like a month. It used to stay in the car just in case nishikwe nikiwa mahali. So bag was always packed. So on the 2nd, I just took some porridge at night. Then my mom and my sister went with me to hospital, and we met with the doctor. That's when now he checked me. Hey, and you know how checking goes, like that checking is painful. Someone just told us about the whole checking thing, but then he checked, and guess what? 4 centimeters dilated. Haya, we hata uwezi enda nyumbani, you have to be admitted. I'm like, okay, so I was not expecting this. So he tries to he gave me some meds to like try and quicken the labor, but then nothing was working then. So anasema, itakufungua within no time. Like, nothing worked. So he's just able to save up that energy, because that time I remember we were just dancing hapo kwa new wardrobe. My sister was taking videos of me as we're just living. Then he's like, nacheka utaona sa vile unalianga. Like, guy, stop saying those things. So after some time now, he told me, hey, I went to quick 2 drip. Inaonekana that dawa is not working and your water is not working. So a drip. So he now induces me. Now seriously induces me. So he tells me maybe by like 3 a.m. I'll have delivered. So this is around like 9, 10 uko. So I dilate very fast. I dilate. The second time he checks me, I'm 6 centimeters. The next time he checks me, I'm 8 centimeters. Like, okay, well, by the way, within no time we'll be out of here. My water was not breaking. So mahali akasema, no, because your water is not breaking, we have to break this water. Hey, it was such a painful process. First of all, when you're that heavy and you're about to like deliver, the contractions are on the high, you can hardly lie back because everything just feels so uncomfortable. So it's a struggle just lying on my back. Ndio wajaribu kutoboa maji, and they were trying everything. They tried, I think, with scissors. They are trying with what me. I don't know what they were impacting. Me, I just know I felt bothered and I was getting so uncomfortable. I just couldn't wait for them to get done with whatever they were doing. So eventually, trying for quite some time, the water broke, and now nikaanza tu kutembea, like just keep walking around the room, it was bad. I kept pinching people and scratching them. They're angels, and they're just keeping up with me because I was scratching them. My sister even at some point was some because I'm scratching her, I'm pinching them. I mean, sting. And then that's when later they're like, okay, yeah, now let's try pushing now because you're already 9 just dilated. So I lay on the bed and we start pushing. Hey, first push, nothing. Second push, I poop. I'm like, hi. I'm like, why am I pooping? So I remember getting so frustrated because I think that happened twice. And I was angry. I started telling him, Sasa nini mbaya na hii? Why am I pooping? I want to just pop this baby. Like I was getting frustrated because I'm like, first of all, this is embarrassing and no one even warned me about this. And now this is happening in front of everyone. Hey, I just want the baby out. So it got to a point where now the pain was like too much. I'm pushing, the doctors are helping me push, like they're pressing my tummy, trying like to push the baby. Nothing is working. Nothing is working. Remember, I'm 9 centimeters dilated. Eventually, the doctor he starts asking me my age. I'm like, I'm old enough. Why are you asking me my age? Because obviously, if you're a bit young, then that means, your pelvic area is not like that matured. So you might not be like even give birth, normally as people call it. So now I hear him whispering to my mom, is like, hey, this one has to be emergency CS because mtoto hashuki, ni kama amekwama mahali, tumejaribu nothing is working. So I feel she should just, go for a C-section. So my mom is like, what are you saying? At yeah, then anakani kama even her cervix imepata some kind of a, what is it called when you fura? Yeah, it's like I've gotten some kind of a thingy growing. Okay, he was saying that's because of um, an elongated labor process. So my cervix kind of ikapata some stuff ikagrow because of the stress coming with the labor. So akasema sasa hata hiyo ujue pia imefunga njia ya mtoto kutoka, so we can't do it right now. There's no turning back. Like once induced, that's it. The baby just has to come out. So now, unfortunately, is now this hospital. It's a small hospital in Athi River. The doctor that would do now the C-section was not available at night. Kasema, they'll have to do me a hospital transfer. And it's a small hospital. They don't have an ambulance. So yeah, so they're just like, okay, sawa, garini sawa. The doctors were just two. Again, it's a small hospital, so that means there are not a lot of people there. But it was a very good hospital. Very like the cleanliness. Like I love the hospital. So akasema now we'll have to just take her to some hospital in Kitengela that will admit her so that she can just have her baby. They actually know how to they had to, what is it called, push me over with a wheelchair because I couldn't even walk. The labor, the contractions were killing me. Like it was so bad. So now we get to my mom's car and I sit next to the doctor. I remember I even removed one of his buttons. Kama nimemshika. Hey, alijionea maneno. Because I'm like, I kept asking him, kwa nini unanifanyia hivi? Kwa nini unanifanyia? As I'm crying and there are no tears coming out, but I'm crying. I mean, so much. So we get to this hospital and they're like, Apana, we have to confirm that she's actually 9 centimeters. So again, why I kept cussing them. Then that doctor was so bad. It's like, hebu kaa vizuri, lazima tujue kaa uko 9 centimeters. We have to confirm these results. Like, you guys, you have no idea how painful this is. So and they're like, yeah, she's actually 9. So akasema, this one, sisi, hatutamweka kwa theater immediately. No, because my doctor ameshanifikisha, transfer him, we went back to the hospital because there were just two of them. So angeacha huyo mwingine peke yake. So this guy checked me in and I'm still wearing hospital clothes of the other hospital, by the way. I didn't even change. So they now tell me to start walking up and down a certain ramp so that the baby. Okay. So remember, my doctor has written it's emergency CS. This one, there's nothing like emergency here. Ebu tembea huko, mtoto atashuka za kuzaa. Okay? So me, I walk. And I'm just crying. The whole time I'm just crying. I'm just screaming. I keep reminding myself, hey, baby, just keep it together. Keep it together. I'm like, together. I can't do this anymore. I started screaming. Like, I'm expressing myself. I have to. The pain is just too much. So my family is just there. They're wondering, okay, so how they don't want to take me to theater. They want me to just keep walking up and down mpaka mtoto ashuke. So by this time, mtoto ameshuka kabisa. I feel the urge to push is still there, but then to push outside because there's no one who's looking after me. Sinikonje, because I'm walking up and down. I'm in a room. Hi. So now the doctors come and then they're like, Ati, they start telling my mom because I could hear. They start telling her, just talk to her, ajaribu tena kupush tuone kama mtoto atatoka. Telling you at this time, the pain that I was feeling, I just couldn't picture myself lying again on a bed trying to push. So I just looked back and my sister was actually crying. Like she's still in pain because I was in so much pain. So my sister is like, apana. She has pushed enough, mpeleke theater. We are not doing it again. So my mom is conflicted. She's like, now she knows how the theater is. So if it, she would not prefer for me to go through that. She'd prefer I try again. But then even for me, I'm like, hi mom, I have been trying. And then my mouth was dry. Like I was just dry. So around this time, it's around maybe like 5 a.m. now or 6 now. So it's already morning. And so akasema okay, sawa basi. Nikamwambia mimi, just take me to the theater. Mimi, I can't anymore. So my mama yenyewe, she has been trying the whole night. She has pushed so many times. There's nothing that is coming out. The baby is stuck. So let's go to the theater. So all this while, I'm having this urge to push. I'm really having the urge to push. Kabis. I kept pushing. I'm just telling them, nasikia, nasikia, nasikia. Then I scream. Then they're just like, sasa madam, ulisha said makaratasi. Don't dare push. So they told me, ulisha sign karatasi, hakuna kupush. Ngojea dungwe sindano. So now the theater room. And so I'm sitting on that bed of theirs. My stomach is just, it's so big, in overflow. Yes. I'm not even fitting. Then the doctor looking at me, they're like, okay, sasa wewe, stop pushing. Stop pushing, and we can't touch you because we're already cleaning up ourselves to get ready for this operation thing. So wewe vumit ongoja daktari. So the daktari took quite some time to come, but then eventually he was able to like hold me kidogo. I relaxed for a moment. They dungad me and the operation started. So right after they got my baby out, I started feeling cold. I don't know. I kept feeling so cold. I was freezing. I was actually shivering. So me, I'm asking, what is going on? Why am I shivering like this? And then unakwanga to that machine. So it kept beeping, like, Jesus, is it that I'm not calm? What is going on with, like, I'm in stress at this point? And then after some time, I start feeling things. I start feeling them like wakieka mavitu, like na feel kuna vitu zinapampiwa kwa mwili yangu, and there's a pull of like strings. I'm like, hey. So I tell the doctor, who's the one who stays now near to your head, I'm like, by the way, I can hear what you guys are actually doing. I can feel what you guys are doing. Like, unasikia, I tell him, unasikia nikaa kunaeka vitu, unasikia nikaa navutwa na kamba. Yeah, the next minute nilijisikia nikiambiwa, madam, amka. So I think they had to like add some other dawa for me to sleep so that they can get, because nikaa ilikuwa imeanza kuisha. That was how my birth story was.
Baby is here, life is going on. How did you now decide to like go back to school? Or was that an immediate decision?
I was not going to drop out. That's not how I do life. I never in my mind to ever drop. I just knew that I had to finish school. So remember, I took semester breaks a bit too early when I was still pregnant. So that means that the other remaining semester break was going to be short. So I resumed school after 3 months. So baby was 3 months, and of course the breastfeeding journey was very hard because at the time I'm breastfeeding, I don't even know how to get the baby to latch and all that. So I started going to school, and it was very hard, like trying to balance motherhood and school stuff. Concentration is on the low, and then now my milk supply started getting lower by the day because we used to live along Mombasa Road, and my school is Thika Road, so I'm commuting every day. So by the time I'm even getting to school, I'm hungry, and then I'm also trying like to save up money because I don't want to feel like I'm depending on my mom too much. So I kept paying myself of whatever money she gives me. I want to save as much so that I can at least next time buy the diapers myself or the baby wipes myself. I want to feel responsible. So that was another aspect of this whole pregnancy. And then now balance in school. But then again, support system was strong. My mom really stood by me. My siblings really helped a lot. I have an auntie who was always taking care of my son whenever we don't have a house help, should try and come. Like, it was just like a community thing, just to get done with school. And eventually I managed. I had to manage everything. And for me, I'm the kind of person who did not believe that I'd graduate an year after the time that I was supposed to. It was just like I was supposed to get done with my undergraduate at 21, and I'm finishing it at 21. I don't care. We're gonna until we graduate at that 21, because I didn't want to feel like the pregnancy had taken from me. I wanted to still finish and do things that I wanted to do at that age that I wanted to do them. So I pushed myself and I was able to like get done with school. My performance was not like really good, but then I feel like still there was some bit of improvement. I think because now this time I'm more mature and I'm concentrating more in school in terms of, I can't do this at home, so I have to really do this at school. And that pushed me, and my GPA was good actually, and I finished school and graduated.
And
Yeah.
all this time, like what happened to the father of the baby?
Um. So he was mostly MIA. He saw the baby for the first time when he was 7 months, and that was out of me like pursuing him and all that. Like, bruh, when are you going to do this? And then eventually, an opportunity presented itself, and he came over, saw the baby. For me, it was just like, you know what, you can see him. Like, psst. I hate her more affect because this baby cannot even remember you after. I feel like they're too young to even remember anything. So at that particular moment, it was like, yeah, morning, haina shida. The next time now he saw the baby was when the baby was like 2 years. So it was basically MIA. We were not in communication. I remember sometime before graduation, I sort of started going through some counseling, 'cause of how much this whole thing affected me. Um, but then I feel like that ruined everything for me because I'm putting in the effort to try and get him on board. But then who's talking to him on the other end? There's no one. So it becomes one-sided. The effort was just, became a bit disappointing, a bit frustrating on my end because the kind of results that I'm expecting from whatever thing that I'm doing is not the kind of thing that is really coming out, like not what I want. And so that even made me more frustrated about everything. But he was absent.
You decided at some point to go to China.
Mm-hmm.
So what was behind that decision, and how did it come about that you ended up being a bit further away from your son?
Hmm. so so I graduated in 2016, and I try a few hustles selling insurance. Honestly, if you've not sold insurance, you've not hustled. But, like, that's where I started. So I was trying because I think I suck at sales. Convince people. Like, how am I supposed to show you an education policy? Like, how convince if you don't want it, you don't want it. So I started with that, and then eventually, when I just couldn't take it anymore, I was just like, you know what? You just open a door for me. I need to do something that is in line with what I've studied. So I studied international relations in campus, and somehow I got an internship at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. I say somehow because they just don't pick anyone. Um, so I was able to get in, and I got really, really good bosses that kept like extending my internship. So this is 2017. So somewhere along the way, 2017, I think ikienda kuisha mahali uko, and then getting into 2018, because I remember I moved offices. Now I went to intern at one of the government offices in Gigiri, that now that deals with UNEP issues. And so from there, when I was still there, that's when now I got a call from the Chinese embassy. So my boss and I previously had tried like to inquire whether I could get a scholarship, and wrote a letter to the Chinese embassy, and I never got a response. So mi nikajua, yeah, that was just it. They just didn't consider that. But then later, I'm getting a call when I've already been, moved from that office, and I'm in another office. That's when the embassy literally calls me. They're like, "Hi, you had requested for a scholarship, and I don't see your name on the list of the people that have gotten scholarships." I'm like, okay. I did not even get a response to that. It's like, oh yeah, the response is, yeah, let me send it to you on your WhatsApp. I need you to apply like really fast, sending your documents, and you're getting this. So all this time telling anyone anything at home. Me, I'm just in shock. Then at the same time, I'm like, yeah, talabda mnanidanganya. So I don't want to say anything, and then it's not the thing. So eventually, now that happens, and I try and actually talk to my son about it, like, mommy's going and I will not be back for some time. And he's like, apana, awendi mahali. I'm like, I am actually going. And yeah. So I remember that very day, when my family took me to the airport. I think he thought my sister was the one leaving because he kept clinging. The whole time I was just clinging on to my sister. So for me, hata hataki story zangu. He does not want anything to do with me. So me, all this time I'm feeling so bad because I'm like, bruh, I'm leaving. Like, you're not even hanging out with me. Like, what's wrong with you? I think he was 3 heading into 4, because I went September 2018. So he's 3 heading into 4. So eventually, sasa nikaanza kuingia. Now you know how it is. Just get into that door, that's it. There's no coming out. So at that particular point is when now I somehow like knelt to hug him. And that's when it hit him. Like, hiya, I think it's mom to me. Boy cried. Then at that point, that officer is like, bring your papers. Bring your papers. My baby's crying, like getting access to my papers. Me, I have bigger stresses right now. He just took my papers and he's like, Ingia, just like, Jesus, how to leave my baby? Honestly, I almost just tore that paper and turned back. I was just like, Apana, I can't leave my baby like this. But then I kept telling myself, no, be strong. It's a good opportunity to better yourself. Go do your math. Just develop yourself. Why not? Have the opportunity. You will be okay. So I got in and I could hear my baby crying from the outside. And it was so painful for me. I stood at some point, just some tears just dropped off because I'm like, yo, people, you have no idea what I'm feeling. But then at the same time, I'm strong because now everyone inside is like looking at me. Okay, to also like keep it together. But then the cry of that baby was just freaking me. Yeah, it was bad. So and I got there, it was hard. Let me tell you, distance parenting is bad. I never imagined it would be that hard for me, because now I'm just now struggling to connect with my child. So it just calls, and I thank God for technology, because I don't know what would have happened if it were just those many years ago where data or nothing. So all this while is just trying to call, and then I'm also trying to like keep the connection with my family. I kept calling, and like the time difference is 5 hours. So I used to stay up late so that they can be home and then settled. So me, I used to sleep like in the morning. I just want to communicate with them. And then it got to a point where my family was like, okay, this girl she's too hung up on home things. You know what? Tutamlenga for some time. She needs to get used to being there. So I'd call, they don't pick, or they just don't communicate at all. Ndo najua tough kumaanisha nini, because they're like, if you keep calling us every day, you will not concentrate on your school stuff, and that is taking you there. So we need to make you a bit more disciplined. And I actually started now adapting to that. So connecting with my child was very hard, because now I had to try and be creative. And then now the most unfortunate thing is that the times that I'd call them is already night on my end. So I'm just in bed. Where else would I be? There's nothing they can see. And kids will see things. But then the time that is my family is at work, my child is in school, so I can't call them during the day and show them what's up on my end. He'd get so bored. Hata alikuwa anakuja naenda zake, is like, there's nothing interesting here. So yeah, it was so painful, because I even used to ask my mom, Kwani, what have I done? But then he does not want to talk to me. What do I do? So my mom is like, you have to try and get creative. Do things. Take videos for random things. Call him when you have something interesting to show him. So I'd literally even buy sweets and just call him like, Ona hii baby, ona hizi colors. We try and have a conversation. Mostly I'd send videos of the place that I've gone to maybe. And just have him, have a feel of me, still in his life or something like that. So it's difficult because babies want presence, and now they're away. You just can't connect with them the same way. You can try, but so I had to try and get creative, whatever that meant, that particular moment. I had to, yeah. But I thank God that somewhere in between now he visited me together with my mom, stayed for almost 3 weeks. So we had a good time, like trying to reconnect, chilling. He would never want anyone else to do anything for him or to him. If it's bath, he wants mommy to do that. If it's feeding, if it's sleeping, he wants mommy. Like we really bonded during that time and brought some peace into my life as well. And yeah, I was not ready to go through yet another year without him before I came home. So we went there, I think September 2018. I was supposed to leave 2020 July, but then COVID happened. And yeah, we all know it started in Wuhan, and that's exactly where I was.
I remember when when the pandemic hit, right? And they were saying, they were talking about Wuhan, and I'm like, but wait, haven't I seen that you've
Mhm.
said you were in Wuhan? So I was like, in what universe do I know someone who is in Wuhan at this exact moment?
Yeah.
And I was like, how are you even staying sane at this exact moment? Because apana, what, for us it seemed like, okay, fine, it's far. Nah,
Yeah.
that one won't, no, it won't sumbua us really, right? Up until to the point it's sumboing us, and then you're like, hey, but Mary was there from the very beginning. So yeah, so maybe let's talk about the pandemic coming right at the heart, and you're at the heart and center of it,
Yes.
right? You're in Wuhan,
Hmm.
right? When the world is now discovering that there's a place called Wuhan.
So actually, the the weird thing, or is it the funny? I don't know how to term it, but then Wuhan is a really big city in China. Actually, really, just that when we are outside, we only know of Shanghai and Guangzhou, but then in Beijing, but then we know about these other cities. But China is just full. It has a lot of people, and Wuhan has around like 11 million people. So you can imagine, and actually Wuhan is known to be like a students kind of a city because it has a lot of universities, a lot of international students, and so it's one of those cities that someone would really love to live in. Anyone who has lived in Wuhan can testify. Like the racism is not that much because those people can be a bit racist because there are a lot of international students. And so the pandemic comes, and now that's when everyone is hearing about Wuhan. They're like, Wuhan, where the hell is Wuhan? So for us, I remember when the pandemic started, for us, we're just hearing stories, me at natuambia sijui nini, me, us, we're just living our lives. So I remember it was before now the pandemic hit. For me, I didn't want to another city to visit one of my friends. So Karudi, and then that's when now the lockdown happened. We are wondering, okay, what is going on? Like, are these people really serious that you're going on lockdown? So I remember end of Jan is when now things were really looking like the looking into another direction because it was still during winter, so we are not going out often because of the cold. You really just want to stay in your room. And the supply, I remember at that time I was actually fasting. I was just, because I'm a godchild, so I was actually going fast. It was around my birthday, and so I'd not even bought like a lot of supplies because it's like, but I'm fasting. I'm not eating like you've also vile nilienda. So I didn't even buy a lot of things because, what's the rush? I'll just go to the soko another time. Here, that time never really came because I never got to go now to the real market. I had to just buy stuff from the shops near school. So it gets to 20, I think it was on the 23rd of Feb or Jan that they now put the lockdown of Feb. That's when now it's made official. So nothing, I'm telling you, literally nothing was working. When they talk about public transport being frozen, that is what was going on. Cabs were not working. You'd actually just get on your app and try and order they're called DDs. There's an app called DD. We have Uber. Try and use a DD, and there are no DDs. Like, upon Donona Haya, it's actually real. So I remember walking out of school and being like, "Ebu wacha niende huko kwa main road," because our school is in town. So I reached the main road and there are just countable cars passing, personal cars. There are no people, and Wuhan is full. Like, it has always been so full of people. Reality now is hitting me properly. I'm like, yo, they're actually no. And then even going out, I was so scared because I'm like, I don't know if I'm even supposed to be going out right now or I'll be arrested. So nilienda nikiogopa. And then at the same time, we're not even sure how this disease is working. So we don't know whether we should even like have our noses out or or have a mask. Okay, usually, of course, during winter, like you wear a lot of masks of the cold. But then, like, okay, how does this thing even work? So eventually, the school locks us in our hostels. They lock us inside. They lock us inside. Like, kuna ulikuwa wafunga hata na nini na kufuli na chain. So the only people coming in are the people that would bring us food, because now our school was kind enough to like give us supplies, all of the day. So those are the only people that would go in and out. Sisi, we stay in, and then like even in those rooms, stop moving from a room to another, because remember, so it turns out the virus had started like the year before, that's 2019, as we didn't know about it. So if anything, all of us were exposed because we are all about our businesses, right? So now when they tell us to stay in, they're like, okay, we also don't know whether your friend could be having the virus or not. So just stay in your own rooms. So they had even a whole list. When you pick food, you tick, umechukua chakula, nini, like we look like inmates. Unateremka tu kuchukua chakula, unarudi kwa room. Unateremka unachukua chakula, unarudi kwa room. So you can imagine doing that for a whole 2 months. Because I think it was more than 60 days. You're locked in. Then now it got to a point where there was no drinking water. And water in China, like you just have to buy water. The tap water is not usually good. Like, boil it and maybe you just put a tea bag or something. But ikiwa hivyo peke yake, it's bad water. It's not even healthy at all. So we went through a water crisis. Now there's no drinking water. The school cannot get supplies because everywhere is locked down. There's no one coming into Wuhan. So if any supplies from it, Azizi Ingia, Wuhan, the people in Wuhan are a big population. I told you, everyone wants that water. The school didn't have water. So, but not to source for water. I remember even when it came to like personal supplies, you need pads as a girl, like you need soap and all that. So now they had to come up with a system, a structure of how they'd be shopping for us. So the school used to shop for us. So the people that are able to be out, like the administrators, so unaandika list. They used to have days where they'd go do shopping for us. The thing was just so pricey because they're also not getting supplies. That's how we were living, staying in the room, or going out. So yeah, it was tough for me mentally, emotionally. I was dying because you're in place every day. You're thinking about the bad thing that could happen from the virus, and then now really also trying to like educate people about the virus. I remember, posting some videos on my IG. I'm like telling people you need to wear a mask, you need to be careful. We were wearing masks because of this, we're being contained because of the. I was trying like to just bring some sort of awareness. But then as we are tunaona hii ni jokes ya itafika. But it was bad. It was bad. Me, I will not lie. But this is something that we always say, that the people in Wuhan at that particular moment will be like those people that went to the Vietnam War. They never talk about what happened because they can't really sit and no one can really understand. Honestly, that is how it feels.
And how was your family back at home? Like right now, you're pretty much at the heart of it.
So my mom was worried anytime, before they locked us in our dorms, like every time I tell her that I'm moving out of the dorm to go and probably get supplies, like, ebu toka na usirudi tena nje, stay in your room, She used to panic so much. Then now when we were locked in, they were really trying to encourage me. And now I had more time with them. That's when now I even do my own stuff. Like I was studying, I was trying to keep my mind very occupied. Remember, like we're still in the midst of a semester. I was due for graduation, so I needed to prepare even for defending my thesis and all that stuff. I was writing some papers, I was doing some online courses. These things were just meant to keep me sane. I just kept my mind idle. I think I could have blown up. So on this other end, my mom is now trying to like push for evacuation. So we were trying at end to push for evacuation, but then the barriers. And then now like everyone in Kenya is just scared of these people in Wuhan. Oh, watatuletea ugonjwa, sijui locked in for 2 months. None of us go anywhere. We are not sick. And if Kenya says we quarantine for even 21 days, we will comply. We just want to be, because honestly, don't want to be going through such a thing and you're far away from your family. It's not. So my mom on this end is fighting. I remember she even went to parliament. She's trying to push the motion for the students to come back home. Us on this other end, we are trying to mobilize the students. Let's keep pushing the government. Let's see if we can come home and all that. But then none of that happened. But I was receiving like a lot of encouragement from home. Yeah, everyone is just like, no, you'll be fine. Let's just wait for that time for you to come home. I remember now time is due, right? I was supposed to put in July. So yeah, now actually leave, not even graduating, leave by July somewhere thereabout. I think supposed to have left. So now we graduated even late. I think we did. Was it on the 31st of July? I think. And they were even not even sure whether we'd have like the ceremony. Then I think they decided, you know what? No, because walikuwa wameanza kutufungua, though we'd not go in, would just be around the school premises. So wakasema, let's just do something at least for the international students. So we had two separate graduations. So for the Chinese first, and then we had ours later. So all this time now, everyone is wondering, how will she come back home? There are no flights. Nothing is going on. So that became another stressor. How will I come back home? So eventually, though, like, God names so he showed up. And since I was under scholarship, for me, I was not worried about how will I pay my ticket, because I been going for like half an hour. Can you me? And that's just one way. So the people that self-support were really, really stressing, because how do you pay a whole half an M somewhere there? But yeah, somehow the government, since walikata to evacuate, they decided, okay, we pushed for them to send a Kenya Airways to come and pick students up, because we're telling them we can't keep staying here. We don't even have money to keep surviving here. It's expensive, and we are done with school anyway. Why should we keep staying here? And plus, our dorms might even start telling us to vacate. So those people that are living off campus, the people, they'll just be told to even pay rent, because there you pay quarterly, like you pay 3 months rent. So anasema if will be told again to pay 3 months, tunatoa wapi pesa? Eventually they sent, I think, like 2 KQ flights. Something that people don't know is that when that Chinese flight landed in Kenya and people made noise, it really costed us diplomatically, because now China denied us landing rights. So none of our flights would land in China, anywhere in China. So that affected us, because how will Kenyans go back home? So that really affected. And coming to diplomatic terms, that took time. Because China is like, mlitufanyia madharau, there is no way we are giving you landing rights. So mlikata no, hata nyinyi, you won't land here. So I don't know what happened in between. Now people in foreign affairs can tell us. But I think now they had deliberations. They just had to, so that KQ could be allowed to land, pick students, and come back. Yeah. So for me, I flew back. I think started traveling. I got to Kenya on the 31st, I think. Was it 31st? Maybe I'm even forgetting dates there. But I came back in August via Addis. So I me, because I was under the Chinese government scholarship, they paid an Ethiopian airline because Ethiopian, they were working all through. The journey was longer because I took like 3 days to Nairobi because of the just have to show like COVID tests, meaning the luggages were now more strict on how much luggage you can carry. So all made traveling more difficult.
Wow. But, thank the Lord you came back. You are free of COVID. You are good, which is something to be thankful for. So, to kind of just wrap it up. So, you come back home and then you release a book, right? Maybe you can just
Yeah.
talk a little bit about the book.
All right. So I authored a book and I feel like there's always some good stuff that comes out of pressure, like how it is with precious stones, gold and diamonds and all that. So it's in the midst of that place of pressure, that place where I was probably even depressed, I don't know. But then it's out of that place that I birthed a book. It's called Broken Vessel. Um, so I basically talk about my life. Like this is a time that I also had some good time with God and myself. I was able to discover a lot about myself, and God was revealing a lot of things about me, things that I was not doing right when it came to my own personal life, when it came to parenting. And everything that I wrote on that book was meant to stand as an encouragement. Well, it was meant to stir up faith and hope, that you could really be like lost because um I've been raised a Christian, and at some point like everything was just going south, especially now after getting my baby and the breakup that was there. Like it really affected me in ways that I never thought it would, and so I lost myself in between. And so this book is just literally talking about that phase of my life and then coming out of that and being whole and identifying myself and yeah, it talks about triumph, the struggles, triumph that comes with it. And yeah, so I come home and I was still working on the book. I'm actually one of those good Kenyans that came home and went for self quarantine. Most people are just because tulikuwa tunajua tuko sawa. By the way, it's not that nilikuwa najishuku, just that I felt 3 days of travel, like that's too much moving and interacting with people. I kept changing my all through when I was traveling, trying to sanitize as much. But then I was like, my mom is at home and I have a child at home. Let me just self quarantine. So still during that time, I was trying to edit the book, proofread it, nini. So I self published it. Used like external editors. The only thing that I outsourced was someone to do the cover page for me, of which I already had the idea in my mind. I just sold it to them. They just did their magic. I worked with one of my friends to like proofread, and so I released the book in May last year. It has been an amazing journey, something that I never would happen, but yeah, I'm a whole author.
Yeah, you also do some stuff online, right? I've seen a lot of your engagement with like moms and all that. So what's the drive behind that? Behind like supporting moms?
Right before I came back, like I kept feeling like I wanted to do a business. I think for me, it was just about, yeah, let me sell some stuff. And the motivation behind that was when I was pregnant, I could not like get good stuff and just cute stuff for expected still young. Like you honestly just don't want to wear those dresses that your mother when you look 80. You don't want those. So that was what drove me into starting the business, Mama Toto. I partnered with my sister in that. Um, and in between, I was like, okay, selling clothes and accessories for expectant and nursing moms is not enough. It's good to engage my audience. So I started small. Honestly, I didn't even know what I was doing. I'm not much of a social media person. Like I prefer to just talk and not trying to engage people virtually. That is just hard. But then now I was just like, okay, let me try this thing. And so I started having a forum every Saturday morning, have a topic to cover on everything motherhood, because I know how difficult sometimes motherhood can get, especially for first time moms. So for me, it's just about enlightening moms, and also getting to know ourselves, taking care of ourselves, because we also talk about hygiene, talk about issues to do with violence. Like I cover any topic that comes up that is trending and that affects women, and children as well. And yeah, that's the drive. Like I just want to create an environment where women can also talk and express themselves. And I also get to give my input. I won't say I'm an expert. Honestly, I only have one child. Maybe if someone has of experience, they could call themselves experts. But then I know a thing or two on motherhood. And at the same time, it also challenges me to do some research, which good. It also keeps me on my toes. Yeah. One thing I'll say is never give up. That's a mantra that I've come to like really hold on to, because the Bible is clear. Like you'll fall 7, rise up 8. Fall, rise. Just whatever you do, just keep rising and keep moving, because the more you sit there and cry over and just keep holding pity parties, like they won't do anything for you. Don't give up on your dreams. Keep pursuing those dreams. Keep bettering yourself. There's nothing as amazing as self-development. If you have interest in something, go ahead and pursue it. You like cooking, do a course, or just indulge yourself in YouTube stuff that are motivate, things that you love, things that give you peace and joy, and put yourself first. It's very important that you take care of your mental health, because if you mentally, emotionally, you will bring up broken children, and none of us that. So in terms of motherhood, ensure that you're okay. If you need time out, because personally sometimes I take time out and I'm just, you know what, baby, this weekend I'll just go over to my sister's where we can nyumbani. I'll see you tomorrow. When I just feel like to just get some steam off so that I can better take care of him and rejuvenate and be good for him, because you want to bring up children that are whole, and at the same time children feel the energy that is being produced anywhere. Like how you relate with them matters a lot. They can always tell the energy you're moving with. So if you're not okay, they'll feel that. If you're stressed, they'll feel that. If you're not happy, they will feel that. So ensure that you keep bettering yourself. Don't project things on your child. And something that really also helped me, when I was in, also did a course under the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child. So children actually have rights. And when I was going through the course, it really challenged me at a mother. Sees like, I was just like, yo, okay, sawa, okay, my child, okay, I should let him discover things, I should let him touch things, because they're saying mtoto anachukua kikombe anamwaga maji, like wanataka tu kuona nini itafanyika, to annoy you. That's not the intention for them experimenting things, and so it made me also want to take parenting easy. I need to take it itself, otherwise nitajipea pressure for nothing and it will not help. So yeah, self-development, very important. Your emotional health, very important. And just always being in that place of peace. If you need a break, take it.
Like I said earlier in the intro of this episode, like I really wanted to have this story in the first season of the podcast, but we weren't able to have that time to record. So talking to her and listening to that story, I was just amazed, because she has this uncanny way of caring for people, giving you strength and guidance and all that. Yet it's not like her path has been smooth all through, So I find people like that quite endearing, and I have so much respect for them. So I'm so very, 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 very thankful that she agreed to be on the podcast and shared her story. Like she said, she has a couple of things going on. Please do check out her book. I actually just purchased it. I've been thinking about doing it for so long. So I purchased a Kindle version from Amazon. So this is an excerpt that I got from her listing on Amazon. should give us an idea of what to expect in the book. So it says, the author, through this masterpiece, gives various experiences from being the good churchy girl to drifting into the things of the world, therefore losing herself. But even in this state, she empathizes on the love of God being a constant. She goes ahead and talks about the various hurdles and trauma she's overcome, including daddy issues, early pregnancy, a hurtful breakup, cases of sexual violation, underage motherhood, postpartum depression, sex as a healing tool, and difficult COVID-19 times in Wuhan, China. You can get it either as an ebook on Kindle like I did, or even just use a free app. If you prefer a hard copy, like you want to feel that book in your hands, right? She does have physical copies of the book. Give me 1 minute, I check my messages. She did send me a message on how to get your hands on one. Oh yeah, found it. She says physical copies are available at Scripture Union Bookstore in Hurlingham. Or you can directly just DM her, either on her personal Instagram or her business/social/empowering Instagram page, Mama Toto. Again, I'll just leave everything in the show notes. Just DM her and tell her you want a physical copy. Should be around 900 bob. Alright, that's a wrap on the very first episode of season 2, Mama Tales. I'm so happy to be back. I think I've said that a million times. And because we are back, I am taking this time to ask you to share your story. Like, guys, we'd love to hear your story. Every story is powerful. I cannot say that enough. And there are currently 3 ways you can do that, or like let me know that you want to share your story. 1, go to the podcast's website. So that's mamatilspodcast.com. And you'll find a link to a form that will let me know that you're interested in sharing your story and give a little bit about what that story is. Shouldn't take you more than 2 to 3 minutes to fill out. You can also drop me an email. The email address is mamatilspod@gmail.com. And last but not least, you can reach me on the DMs on either of the 2 Instagram handles. So that's mamatilspodcast and @salimugure. All right, that's it. Thank you so much for listening to this episode thus far. Really, truly appreciate it. I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.